What's up, Christ Centered Mental Health community? This is me, David Lee Chusar Shea. I represent Christ Centered Mental Health, the ministry where I talk about mental health awareness from a Christian perspective in order to give you real hope in Jesus' name to the glory of God the Father. All right, before we get started on this episode of Real Life with Schizophrenia, I just have a quick announcement for those of you that are new to the channel. Please check out the Christ Centered Mental Health Ministry website. It's www.christcenteredmentalhealth.net. There you can have access to our statement of faith. You can check out the On Faith and Mental Health blog. You can check out the Christ Center Mental Health Ministry store. You could find out how to contact either me or someone on the team for 24-hour peer support. And you can find out how to support the ministry through Patreon, Venmo, or Cash App. Okay, as I said, this is our episode of Real Life with Schizophrenia, where me and my co-host Joseph McDermott talk about different issues concerning mental health. Today's episode, we're going to talk about relationships and how mental health can affect relationships. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
Well, yeah, I'm doing well too. It's been a long day, but I'm doing good. So before we get started, I think we should share our stories about how we met our wives. So you want to go first?
Yeah, today's episode is going to be about relationships, and we're going to talk about how we met our wives. And so I think later on we're going to talk about other things like our singlehood and all that stuff. But right now we're going to talk about how we met our wives. And basically, I just got out of a bad relationship, and I went in a manic episode, and I got hospitalized. And when I got transferred to go home, there was a guy, and he was flipping out on all the staff. But I was wearing the same kind of scrubs that he was wearing. And so I just decided maybe if I talk to him, he'll calm down. And at first he was suspicious of me. But then I pretty much convinced him, no, I'm not a spy. I'm not a part of the staff. I'm just someone here like you. And we started talking, and he eventually went to sleep. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good at this. Maybe I should become a peer support when I get out. And I went to a place called Recovery Empowerment Network in Phoenix, Arizona. I went to peer support class, which lasted about 3 or 4 months, 2 days a week. But in the middle of it, there was a Valentine's Day dance. And I asked some females out in the class, and they all turned me down. And I think that all my bad relationships and other women turned me down. I do think that's you can call it predestination, you can call it divine intervention, whatever you want to say. But I think God had His hand in that for my wife, because when I met my wife at the Valentine's Day dance, first I saw her. I saw her for the first time. We were playing hot potato with like other people inside the dance. And I was the first person eliminated. She became second place. And then the slow dance at the end came a thing. And I was by myself. I saw her walking by herself. Unbeknownst to me, she had a boyfriend at the time. I didn't know that. If I would have known that, I probably wouldn't have asked her out. But I saw that she was by herself. So I tapped her on the shoulder. And it was like there was like sparks. Like you could feel something. And I gave her my number. We started dating for a little while, and then we kind of went our separate ways. But then when Valentine's Day came again, I gave her a call, and then we kind of became very serious. But then I realized, I don't quite know if she's a Christian or not. So I didn't propose to her like, hey, if you don't become saved, I'm gonna break up with you. I said like, what do you feel about my faith? And it was like, would you be willing to give this a chance? And she said yes, and she became saved. And then I made plans about marrying her, and then we got engaged on Valentine's Day. And then I tried to get married on Valentine's Day, but because of financial situations, like I didn't get my income tax when I wanted it to. When I finally got it, then I made plans to get married, and then so we had to do it in November. But so yeah, we got married, and we're happily married. I love my wife so much. She loves me. We're perfect for each other. We understand each other. Yeah, it's had some rocky points, but we always are understanding and forgive each other every time. And I love my wife more than anything other than Jesus himself.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. Your story is kind of a example of how sometimes missionary dating can work out. Like like I'm glad it worked out for you. It didn't really work out for me. I tried doing missionary dating, and it didn't really work out for me. But I'm glad it worked out for you, though. I really am.
Right.
Um, yeah. So pretty much my story is, just like you. I had a previous relationship with this one chick that was like really. Oh, Britton Garland just came on and said, "Oh, sit. What's up, Britton? Thank you for joining the chat." So I was
What's
with
up,
this.
Brittany?
I was with this chick. I'm not gonna mention her name, but she was really crazy. I dated her for like a year. But I found out recently that I've actually been dealing with her for like a decade now. And like the reason why I found out how I found that out was because when I first met her, it was right before the Flash TV series, like it was just premiering. And then like when I found out later on when the Flash TV series was ending, they said that there was a headline that said after 10 years, the Flash is coming to its season finale, and I was like, what? I was really dealing with this chick for 10 years, like it just blew my mind. But anyway, so like after I got out of that relationship, like okay, so years ago, my wife saw one of my old videos. It was one of my old "Why I Adore Black Women" videos, and when she saw it, she literally thought to herself, "This man is not husband material." And then a few years later, she's watching Bearing, and like Bearing did two videos making fun of me, and she was laughing at me over those two videos. And then after I got out of my relationship with my crazy ex, I was at the point where I was kind of like accepting the fact that I was going to be single for the rest of my life. So I was kind of going to let it go. Like I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. It's fine. I'll just live for the Lord. And then my wife, she decided, like this is divine providence actually, because like because she wanted to write an AMBW romance book, and so she joined a couple of AMBW Facebook groups on Facebook, so she could give a feel what kind of people were in the groups. And so she decided to go to the members of one of the AMBW groups, and she saw that I was in a mutual group of her, as hers. The group was called Reformed Bars, which is pretty much a Christian hip hop group on Facebook. And she was like, "Wait a second, is this guy reformed?" So like she added me on Facebook, and like we started talking a little bit. Like we were just gonna be friends, but like, and then like she saw one of my YouTube videos, and she was like, "Wait, are you Asian Dave?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't really go by that anymore." And I told her I'm no longer at SJW, and so we started talking. So we like within a week or two, we talked about all the important issues, like about family, theology, finances, stuff like that. We talked about our future and stuff. And so, like after about 2 weeks, I already knew she was the woman I wanted to marry. Because I had a thing. I told God I wanted to marry a woman who was reformed and who either understood mental illness or who was willing to learn about mental illness. And so she fit both those criteria. She also had her own criteria for me too. Like she wanted to be with a man who was reformed, who believed Calvinism is the gospel and Arminianism is a false gospel. Um, I forgot what the other topic for her was, but yeah. So we started talking, and within 2 weeks, I already knew I wanted to marry her. I didn't actually say I love you until like that year on Christmas. I got her a gift, and I told her I love you, and then like Next thing I know, we dated, got engaged, and got married all in 1 year. I mean, sometimes when you know, you know. I firmly believe that. Like people, I've heard people say, an average man knows he wants to marry a woman within the first 4 to 6 months of dating her. So like if you're in a relationship, so if you're a man and you're in a relationship with a woman for like longer than 4 to 6 months, you're probably wasting her time. Like
Yeah, it's a common thing I see nowadays. I get a lot of Uber drivers, and we start talking about relationships and stuff, and I'll like mention I'm married, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been seeing my lady for 13 years, my girlfriend." Like, well, it's
yeah,
like, man, I'm married, like,
yeah, exactly. It's like people like that. Like honestly, whenever I hear a guy saying he's dating a girl for longer than 2 years, I just want to tell him stop wasting her time. Either you put a ring on her finger, or you break up with her. Because like it's true. A guy usually knows within 4 to 6 months that he wants to marry a woman. There shouldn't be any reason why a relationship should last more than 6 months without getting married.
what if they're mutually not want to get married?
What?
What if they mutually don't want to get married?
Then why are they dating?
I don't know. They date each other, I guess, for the
What?
sake of having, just the sake for dating.
Yeah, as Christians, we shouldn't be
Yeah,
dating.
yeah. Of course, as
Yeah.
Christians, yeah. I was just saying, like, just in general, why would we?
I can't really say anything about a non-Christian. Like non-Christians are
Right,
gonna do
right.
whatever they want to do. But yeah, it's like okay. So the next thing we should talk about. Okay, okay, that's something we could talk about. Like, what are some of the pitfalls? Brent Garland said they should be forced. No, I don't think they should be forced.
That was good.
Yeah. No, but okay, so we could talk about some of the pitfalls because, like you said, like I love my wife a lot. Like my wife is the most important person in my life besides Jesus, and we understand each other. We forgive each other too. But I want to talk about what are some of the pitfalls that we have run into being someone with mental illness being in a marriage. I'll let you go first.
Well, let's. I'm gonna preference this first. You are in a relationship where you're dating someone who does not have mental illness, and I'm a mental ill person who's dating someone who is also mentally ill.
You mean
And
married?
huh?
You mean
Mary, yeah,
married?
Mary. Sorry. Dating. I don't know where that came from, but yeah, I'm married to someone who's mentally ill. So uh, the thing is, it's like, well, I found out she had different diagnosis that she had before, and she has like some of the same things as me and other ones too. I don't want to go into detail, but it's I, as a peer support myself, I have a peer support certificate, went to the class and graduated. It's part of my, it's just part of me, like, to help out people who are mentally ill anyways. And when I got out of the hospital the last time, I decided, like, I gotta date, I should start dating mentally ill women instead of, like, because normally I would hide it from women who weren't mentally ill, and then and
Yeah.
it would cause strife either way when they'd find out. And but I just realized that maybe I should date people who are going through my problems so we can live life together as one, and so that's what I did. But it's challenging because sometimes, like I could say this particular mental illness because I have it myself, but she'll have voices tell her things like that will cause an argument
Yeah.
between me and my wife. They'll give her suggestions like ask him if you can buy one more thing, or ask him if, I'll be like, no, you can't. Or like they'll tell him that they'll tell her stuff like I'm gonna leave her someday, and stuff like that, or why does he get to smoke cigarettes when I can't buy more stuff? Stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know, I just tell her, when you're hearing those voices, let me know so I don't, get too angry and realize that you're being manipulated, and I
Yeah.
don't get, like into an argument like they want.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like with me, on the one hand, like you said, I'm someone who's married to a woman that doesn't have mental illness, and I do have mental illness. I'll just go ahead and put out there for those of you that don't know what I'm diagnosed with. I have schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type, which is pretty much, it's bipolar, but in between my highs and lows, I have periods of psychosis where I hear voices, see things, or I'll just, like, what was I saying? I'll just have, in between my mood swings, I hear voices and see things, or I get paranoid, and like so, like, some of the things, like, I don't know, my voices don't really tell me things to start arguments with my wife. Sometimes sometimes my voices will tell me to hurt her or something, but I'm able to, like, tell them no, because I love my wife. I don't want to ever hurt her. But then sometimes, so Brent Garb says Snoop Dogg told me to marry the illest, two ill people chronically retarded.
Word to your mama.
But yeah, like, I love my wife. I would never hurt her, but sometimes I hear voices telling me that, or sometimes I hear voices telling me that everybody in church is worshiping me or praying to me, but I'm able to ignore them for the most part. Um, the like one of I guess, besides all that, I guess one of the biggest things that really affects me is probably when I go hypomanic. Because when I go hypomanic, I just want to buy everything under the sun. Like, I go, like, I'm when I go hypomanic, I just want to buy. Mainly, my biggest thing is I buy a lot of books. That's my thing. Like, when I go hypomanic, I just go on Amazon and just start searching up books. I'm like, oh man, I want, and then I'll see. I'm like, man, I really want this book. And like, I really shouldn't be doing that, but but that's why now, to keep my, to like help myself stay responsible, what I do is I'll tell myself, okay, you can only get one or two books a month. That's it. You can't once you get your second book, no more. You can't get any more books. And usually I'm pretty good at sticking to that. Sometimes, like, if I go hypomanic, I'll end up breaking that rule and getting like three or four books. But for the most part, I'm able to control myself. Oh, Chuck Ward said you should be buying Entenmann's and Eddie's Rocky Road ice cream. Chuck, don't make me hungry right now. But
Oh,
yeah, Entenmann's snacks are actually pretty good. Like that, when I was living in New Jersey, that was one of my favorite snacks in New Jersey was Entenmann's. They were actually really good.
are they better than cowtails?
Oh, they're way better than Cowtails. Like,
Okay,
way
okay.
better. A million. And I like Cowtails too, but their Entenmann snack cakes are way better than Cowtails.
All
And
right.
that's one good thing that comes out of New Jersey. Yeah, but yeah, okay, so yeah, that's really the biggest issue with me and my marriage is managing my money when I go hypomanic. Another thing is, I don't know, some, like, well, this kind of goes into finances too, but like, people know that I smoke cigarettes, and like, I tend to, like, when I get really stressed out, my first default is to go to the store and get a pack of cigarettes, and I need to figure out a way to not get those cigarettes. Like, even when I get stressed out, I need to figure out something else to do that doesn't require me getting cigarettes.
I hear you there, man.
Uh,
It's the same struggle.
Yeah, it is. It is a struggle. It really is. And actually,
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. Like, um, and I just want to say, not everybody who has schizoaffective disorder is gonna hear voices or see things that aren't there. That's
I'm
actually
one of them.
what.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, it's actually a common misconception that people have. But like, oh, another way that my mental, because I also have separation anxiety disorder. So like sometimes, like my separation anxiety would tell me that my wife is gonna abandon me, like or tell me she doesn't love me. And, like sometimes, like I'll have dreams that my wife is betraying me. So that's another thing of how my mental illness affects our marriage.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, the things that affect my marriage the most would, as far as like my mental illness with her, is like I do have a horrendous temper, not violently, but sometimes I raise my voice, and I don't throw things per se, but I get like like
No.
and I'm trying to be, actually I did ask God to release the demon of anger that was plaguing my life, and it seems to have worked. I rarely get upset now. So
Yeah, that's good. It's definitely like you want. It's good to like control yourself. Don't like because actually the Bible, when you like get angry, you start throwing things and stuff.
no,
The
I said I don't throw things per
No,
se.
I'm
I
not
don't.
saying you. I'm just
Oh,
saying
I'm
when
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm saying when someone gets angry and they're like yelling and screaming and throwing things. The Bible actually lists that as fits of rage. That's actually a
Yeah.
sin.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
actually a
Yeah.
sin.
Yeah.
Yeah. All
It
right.
is.
Is there anything else you want to talk about concerning relationships?
Um. What about our life as single men? Like, how
Well,
how we navigated through the waters, and like how we were like alone
Brian Garlow just said I just let out the most
that
two schizo. Oh, he just said I just let out the most of two schizophrenic Yelp. Okay, chill. Okay, Brian. All right, we can talk about our. You want to start with your talk about your single story?
Yeah. Well, I just remember when I was younger, all I really wanted in my life was a relationship. I was getting tired of hanging out with the boys all the time. All I really wanted was a girlfriend, and I remember when I finally got one, I was kind of arrogant and boastful. I'd be like, "Oh, you're single. I'm not. I got a girlfriend." I'd say that stuff in my head. And
Yeah,
she ended up breaking up with me, and it kind of broke my heart. But it's just and then you get older and you date here and there, and I wasn't a Christian at the time, so like I did sleep around and stuff like that, like shame to say, but I dated multiple women, not at the same time. I always just dated one at a time. I'm not into the polyamory thing that's going on today or anything like that, or dating multiple people. Like I always thought that, like, if there's a woman in my life and I'm dating her and she's dating another guy, well then she can have him. I'll just find someone else, because I don't. You either stick with me and I'm with you, or then that's how it's gonna be, or I'm out. That's just how I always played it. But
yeah,
um, you know, just looking through it, I've been in through a lot of bad relationships. None of them understood me compared to my wife at all,
yeah,
and she really gets me. In other relationships, I always had to mold myself some to be something else, just to satisfy them, like getting a better job, or be into what they're into. Like I was dating this one person, and I, like, anyone who knows me for a while probably knows I don't like musicals. I can't stand musicals. Like, I'll give you an example. I like South Park the show, but I don't like that movie of it because it's basically a musical, right? So
yeah,
I was dating this one person. She shows me this marijuana musical, and it was blasphemous and stuff. Like it was making fun of Jesus, and I was like, "Oh, this is terrible. What am I doing in this relationship?" Like it was like worse than being lonely. Because at least lonely, you got freedom to do what you want, but it was like torture to sit through a musical like that, and it was poking fun of my faith, and I was like, "Oh, this is not right," and I think right at that moment, I was already thinking about leaving her right then and there.
Yeah.
So um, and one thing I will give advice to people: if you're gonna date someone and you want them to be a Christian right away, and they say they're a Christian, you might as well ask them, "So what's the gospel?" Because
Yeah.
if they get that wrong, then they're a Christian in name only.
Yeah. No, that's true.
So you got to make sure they got that right, because I dated a lot of women who claimed to be a Christian and they really weren't.
Yeah. Actually, just like you with my story, just like you, I've always wanted to get married since I was like 16 years old. Like all my friends were wanting to go to college to get this career, that career. They want to do all this other stuff. But all I really wanted to do since I was 16 was to be married and have a family. Because most people already know this about me. But when I was younger, I spent most of my teenage years either in foster care or in juvenile detention. So like I didn't really have like a well I didn't really have a life when I was a teenager because I was locked up for most of it. And like so all I really wanted was to have a life and have a family of my own. So that desire caused me to like I would go into relationships and like you just said, like I'll go into relationships with these women that say they're Christian, but in reality they just oh no, they were just nominal Christians. They weren't actually Christians. And
Mm-hmm.
and I was pursuing them thinking, oh man, I can get with this woman. Like, and when she would dump me, like I'd be heartbroken for a little while. But then I'd meet another woman, and like it was like a pattern. I'd meet a woman, things would go great. We start dating for a little while, and then they dump me for whatever reason. And like early on, I didn't really accept the fact that I had a mental illness. So what was it? So I just kind of didn't tell women that I was dating that I have a mental illness. I kind of hid it from them. And then actually I hid it from people, women that have mental illness, all the way up until I met my ex. My ex, I was upfront with her, and I told her about my mental illness. But at the time, I was just diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So I told her, yeah, I have bipolar, and like, but she seemed like she was okay with it. And to make matters even worse, like, she claimed to be a Christian, and when I introduced her to Reformed theology, she even claimed to accept Reformed theology and be a Reformed Christian. I know now that she was just faking it just so I would fall for her or whatever, so she can control me. But she actually had me thinking she was not only a Christian, but she was actually Reformed too. And so
Wow.
I was like, I fell head over heels with her, and like it's actually kind of funny. Like me and my wife kind of laugh about this because this is another example of God's providence. Like, okay, so my ex's last name is Pharaoh. I'm not gonna mention her first name, but her last name, her last name before she had it legally changed was Pharaoh. And during that time when I was in New Jersey, like dating her when I was living in New Jersey, there was a time period where she kept on getting attacked by these tiny bugs that always attacked her. They never
Oh,
attacked me or anyone else around her. They would only attack her and bite her all over her. And like so that was almost kind of like God sending a plague against Pharaoh. And then not only that, and then when I got away from my ex after like okay, I got away from my ex like because she actually talked me into making her my payee. So this was even more of a miracle because like one day while she was at work, I don't know what caused me to do this, But I went. Brian says bed bugs, CIA bed bugs. Yeah, exactly. No, but I went into the bank that was called TD Bank where my account for my Social Security was, and I pulled out a little bit of the money, and they actually let me do it, which legally they weren't supposed to because I wasn't my own payee, my ex was, but they still let me pull out a little bit of my money, and I was like, wait a second, why'd they just do that? So I went back into the TD Bank and I asked for all my money, and they actually gave me all my money out of my bank account. That's when I ended up getting on. I got on a train to New York, and I got on a Greyhound bus back to Colorado. And long story short, like the God that led me. Okay, so me and my wife laugh about this because my wife's writing name when she was younger, like in middle school, her writing name was Jeremiah Israel. So like it's kind of funny. Like God led me out of Egypt from Pharaoh by giving Pharaoh a plague, and then He led me to Israel. Like so, it's kind of it's just
Yeah, yeah.
amazing. What?
Oh, I'm saying, yeah, yeah. That does it. It does. It's very reminiscent or it's very similar to the story of Exodus. You know.
Exactly. It's really
Yeah.
it's really uncanny how close of a alignment that is with the story of
Yeah.
Exodus. Like it's just that's one of the reasons why I strongly believe in God's providence. Like because I can't I like all of that just fell into place like just one after the other. It wasn't even like it was just fluke, like a happenstance fluke. Yeah, like I mean, so an atheist could probably look at that and say, "Oh, all of that is just coincidence." But it's like, no, how many coincidences does there have to be before you realize this is something more than a coincidence?
Yeah.
And I do agree. I
That's,
do agree with you that when you pursue a relationship with a woman, or if you are a woman, you're pursuing a relationship with a man, it is best for you to really vet them and like really ask the person you're interested in what is the gospel. Like I wish I would have done that with my ex, because then I probably would have broke up with her a lot sooner because but like I said, she actually knew all the right answers because like I introduced her to the Reformed theology and stuff. She knew all the right answers because she was like a chameleon. Like she knew how to act a certain way just to like trick me. But I think of that's just the nature of being a narcissist. You're a chameleon.
yeah. I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit myself. I can adapt to different people, all kinds of cultures, because I'm opinionated on all kinds of stuff. So I can
Yeah,
do locker room talk and also barber
yeah,
talk. You know,
that
barber
makes
shop talk. So
sense.
yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. I have two videos for us to cover. One of the videos is actually a video my wife picked out for us, so we'll cover that one first. Let me see. All right, can you see it?
My dad's mental illness destroyed our family.
Yeah, can you hear it?
Yeah, I can.
Pretty scared of my DNA. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and
Okay, as you can see, the question is: mental illness runs deep in my family, and I'm terrified of what that means for my future. How can I ensure my life looks different? Okay, before we hear this video, what do you think about that question?
Well, the fact that she posed this question shows concern. It shows that she's willing to prevent something, a catastrophe, from happening in the future. So already she's making the right steps because whatever her father was going through, he probably didn't have this mindset at all. So
Exactly. Like that's the thing. Like, oh, I could totally relate to that. I don't know exactly what she's gonna say in this video, but as some like I actually like people don't know a lot of people don't know this about me, but my mother I got my schizoaffective disorder from my mom, because my mom, she had very severe schizoaffective disorder, and she wasn't treating it. And I'll admit it was a terrifying thing, because it did really deeply affect my family, and I know, like, it really caused a strain between my mom and my sisters, and between my mom and their husbands and stuff. So I understand, like, it is mental illness. Like, if you have a family member that has a mental illness that they're not getting treated, I would strongly recommend that you don't give up on them, that you pray for them, and pray that God will change their heart and cause them to want to get help for their mental illness.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Abused growing up, and my father suffered from mental illness. And as we grew up, I kind of thought it just made us stronger, but now I'm watching all of my siblings' marriages fall apart, and at this point I'm the last one married, and so I just want to know if there's a way to avoid pretty much giving into our DNA.
Wow. It feels scary when you feel like you're not in control of your own body. And what happens next, huh?
Yeah, and I just feel a big sense of impending doom.
Yeah.
And my husband, I mean, he's just beautifully patient, and I've got a young son, and they're so pure, and I just know that if something were to happen to our marriage, it would be a result of me.
It's not true, but I also know that feeling and belief is very real inside your chest, and so I want to honor that, okay? Take me back as much as you feel safe doing so. Tell me about the abuse.
Okay, so growing up, again, I was the youngest, so I feel like I saw the least probably. I can't remember most of my childhood as a trauma response. My father was abusive in every way, physically, financially, emotionally, sexually. And
That is really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, that, like, I don't know. I don't know how I'd react if, like, my father, like, I mean, I don't have a good relationship with my father anyways, but if my father, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that.
like, we were never stable. We almost got evicted so many times growing up. We had cars repossessed. And then when I was 12 years old, it came to light that he had sexually abused my sisters. He introduced my brothers to porn at a very young age. And my mom kicked him out of the house. And in return, he actually publicly killed himself. And in a place that we were at with our friends and family and stuff. So it was very just out of spite, if that makes sense. And he was bipolar. And
this is what I'm talking about. Like, if you have a family member that has a mental, because obviously this father doesn't seem like he was actually getting his bipolar disorder treated. And what it seems like to me, again, I'm always saying this is why it's so important for people with mental illness to get on medication and to stay on medication, because you can't, like, it's not wise to think, oh, I can get off my medication, I'll do just fine, I'll just manage it on my own. That once you start thinking that way, you're walking on thin ice. Like, because your mental illness will gradually get worse if you don't treat it. And this is a perfect example of that. Like, this father, like, if he got the help that he needed, and he probably, this probably would have been a completely different story. And that's why, if you have a mental illness or you have a family member that has a mental illness, it is strongly advised that you get it treated. The sooner you can get it treated, the better.
That's true, and I know her concern is real, but because her father, did those terrible things, doesn't necessarily mean she's even bipolar. I mean, she needs to find out, like, if she's had a history of depression and manicking.
Yeah.
If she has, then she probably is. But if not, just because your father or mother is mentally ill doesn't necessarily mean they're going to pass it on to you.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't necessarily. I mean, if your mental illness is usually passed down through the mother, so like I mean, I would still say even if she doesn't have a mental illness, the fact that her mother has mental illness still means she should get herself checked herself just in case.
Yeah, that would be a good idea to get checked. But
Yeah.
I, the way she's concerned about this, I think it's just because of her trauma. I don't think it's because of paranoia or anything. I wouldn't be surprised if this was all just because of her trauma-based lifestyle that happened. And even though she was the youngest and didn't see the worst of the worst, it still must have did a terrible thing to what her father did publicly and whatnot. So
yeah.
Me and my siblings, it felt almost like we made it out of that trauma. Like we grew together. It felt like we were almost like battle buddies. And I look up to them more than anything. I still do. And these are the people that I ask for life advice for everything. And then I got married 5 years ago, and 5 of us were married at the time. And as of right now, it looks like by the end of this year, I will be the only one of us married.
Wow.
And
that's actually interesting that she said that, because actually, if you look at the statistics of how much the success rate is when married couples deal with mental illness, the success rate for people like us is actually very low. Like most couples that deal with mental illness do not last. So the fact that me and my wife are kind of on a we're a good example of how people with mental illness can actually make things work in a marriage, because we're going as of July of this year, we've been married for 5 years, and we're still going strong. Actually right now, as we speak, me and my wife have actually been talking about what we're gonna do for our 10-year vow renewal service, and that 10-year vow renewal service is gonna be 5 years from now, and that's gonna come up sooner than you think it's gonna come up. 5 years is really not that long.
yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, 5 years. What is that? 2030.
Yeah, 2030.
Yeah, like myself, it'll be 1 full year in November. I'm still a newlywed.
Yeah. So we're actually beating the odds.
Yeah. Oh,
And
I would never dare dream ever leaving my wife.
Well, and the thing is, I'm not saying this as a way to brag and say, "Oh, look at my marriage."
Oh yeah, of course.
The only reason why mine and my wife's marriage is being a success is because our marriage is centered on Jesus Christ. We're not trying to focus. Our marriage is completely 100% focused on Christ. And when you're in a marriage like that, where you're both focused on Christ, you have a higher chance of succeeding in marriage.
I hear sometimes atheists argue that the Christian marriages don't last, and yada yada yada.
Yeah, that study is a skewed study, because I know exactly what study they're talking about. It is true, according to some studies out there, Christian marriages don't last just like atheist marriages.
Secular.
But the thing is, the reason why that statistic is skewed is because Christians are getting married at a higher rate than atheists are. Atheists tend to cohabitate without getting married. So you have Christians marrying more than atheists, and then of course it's going to seem like Christians are getting divorced at the same rate as atheists, but atheists aren't getting married just as much as Christians are. So that's why that's a skewed statistic.
Don't you think it's a possible that not all these Christians who get surveyed and get married and stuff are true Christians?
I don't know about that. I can't judge their salvation. All I can
Right.
say is that Christians are getting married at a much higher rate than atheists are. So like when you have Christians getting married at a higher rate than atheists, that then of course it's gonna look like they're getting divorced at the same rate as atheists. But atheists tend to go cohabitate more than Christians.
Right.
Speak to them about it. It's all either them struggling with traits that my dad had or struggling with just PTSD, trauma,
Sure.
and acting out from that side of things.
Oh man, this is tricky in this setting. Okay, so before I start, and there's a couple of reasons why. Because to get to the root of a couple of things, I'm gonna have to make everybody uncomfortable. Okay. And
Okay.
normally I would never do that if I'm sitting with you in the first time I've met you. Okay. So mostly what I'm going to say is going to be something that I want you to promise me you'll go meet with a professional. Okay.
Okay.
And this will take place over a series of weeks, if not months. Okay.
Okay.
First off, I do like how the first thing he tells her is to seek a professional. That's what I was getting at earlier. Like, if she really is scared that she might have a mental illness developing in her, like, that's the most important thing for her to do is to go see a professional. Like, she shouldn't, like, the thing is, I don't like these schizophrenic tests on you, or not YouTube, on Google. I don't like those tests because all those tests do is cause you to kind of self-diagnose yourself, and that's actually very dangerous. You shouldn't self-diagnose yourself. If you think you may have schizophrenia or bipolar or depression or whatever, you should go see a professional immediately.
Yeah. Even as a peer support, one of the things we don't do is diagnose people. We can share our stories. We can share our diagnosis, but we can't diagnose anybody.
Yeah, that's actually one of the like because I meant to say this earlier, but I'm actually taking courses to become a biblical counselor, and that's one of the things we learn about biblical counseling too is to not diagnose people. Like I like by the way, I'm really like for those of you that don't know that I'm taking a biblical counseling course, that's what I've been doing for a while now. That's why I haven't been like very active on YouTube. I haven't really been that active on my blogs either because I've just been focused. I've been hyper focused on my biblical counseling stuff. I have
Right.
a kind of a break now until January, but like that's gonna come up pretty soon. And once January comes, I'm probably gonna fall off the grid. But like, but
Yeah.
like, it'll only be temporary. I'll be back again. But like, I just want to really focus on this biblical counseling stuff because I want to be able to get a job as a biblical counselor so I can like actually do things to help out my family. So like yeah, that's I'm excited about that. But yeah, but I digress. Like the thing is, we should never diagnose people if you don't have a psych degree, if you're not even a nurse practitioner, you should not diagnose people. And if you think you have a mental illness, you shouldn't self-diagnose. You should see a professional.
That's true.
I'm going to say it this way. Okay. And I'm going to oversimplify it. But what I hear in front of me is a woman who needs some peace because she's scared of herself.
Right.
And I want you to know that fear is very real and it's right. You have seen and experienced things that no child should ever see or experience, okay?
Okay.
I also, and this is going to sound crazy, what I'm saying right now, okay? There will be time for anger and deep, deep rage, but I want to flip something around for you so that you can do the most important thing for you and your family right now, which is you begin to heal. And so I want you to think of dad's suicide less about a last hurrah, screw you, middle finger to the family, and more of how old is your little one?
He's 2.
Okay. Imagine if he crawled out of his tiny little race car bed and he was sick and he didn't feel good. And he ran into your room and said, "Mommy," and then he barfed everywhere.
Ooh.
Okay? We wouldn't
Okay.
get mad at him for that. It would be awful. We'd have a big mess to clean up and everyone would be frustrated. But we're not going to get mad at somebody who's sick and just explodes everywhere.
I kind of see where he's getting at this, and this is something I wish I would have known when I was younger, because I remember when I was a kid and I was living with my mom and my stepdad. I didn't really understand the stuff my mom was doing, but it would embarrass me because I remember I was like in middle school. Like, I didn't really know my mom had a mental illness, but I know, like, for a couple times I didn't want to go to the bus stop for whatever reason, so I'd have my mom give me a ride to school. And okay, first time I had her give me a ride to school, she stopped at the bus stop to like yell at the kids at the bus stop, and then they will like circle around the car and start yelling at my mom. And I would hide behind the seat because I was so scared and embarrassed. And the second time that happened, my mom threw her medication at the kids and said, "You need these more than I do." And the third time she tried that, the police were there and they told her to keep going. And like, after that third time, I stopped asking my mom to give me a ride to school. But like, and there was just other things that my mom did that, like, when I found out she had a mental illness, I'll admit I did get angry because like I was like, why would I got mainly angry at God because I was like,
Yeah.
why would God give me a mentally ill mother? And then when I found out I had a mental illness, that caused me to get even more angry at God to the point where I hated God. Like, I wanted to kill God. Like, that's how much I hated him because I was like, why would he give my mom a mental illness, give me a mental? I was like, God must hate me, so I'm going to in turn hate God. I actually I knew I couldn't do anything to God, so the next best thing I knew to do was to take out my anger on God's people, which were Christians. And that's
Yeah.
what led me to want to persecute Christians because I hated God.
Yeah, that's an amazing part of your testimony.
Yeah. What?
That's an amazing part of your testimony.
Yeah. But that's actually another example of God's providence because, like, it was interesting because, again, atheists could see this as a coincidence. But I remember during this time, like when I first got out of juvenile detention, and they put me in a group home because they didn't want to let me go on the street because I was locked up so long that I was institutionalized. And looking back on it, I consider that a blessing because I wouldn't have been able to survive on my own at that time. But like they put me in a group home, and I remember the group home. I remember it like it had like this was yesterday. I remember when I got to the group, like my caseworker from juvie and this one staff member that I was really close to named Mrs. Lynette, they dropped me off at the group home. And I remember the group home was an old church. So above the front door was the outline of where a cross used to be. And then across the street was this huge church with a huge cross in the front lawn. So every day when I come in and out of the group home, I kept on looking at the cross. And I remember the last words that Mrs. Lynette told me before leaving. She says, "See, when you belong to God, He'll do whatever to get your attention." And like, when she said that to me, it made me angry. Like I was like, "Well, screw God." I was like, "He's not gonna get my attention." Like I didn't want. I just got even more angry. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's like a lot of us mentally ill people do have issues with anger,
Yeah,
and it's fortunate, but God can heal you from such things, and He certainly did a number on you right then and there with that part of your testimony right there.
yeah, exactly.
So if you reframe, I'm not letting your dad off the hook. I'm not minimizing how awful it is, but what I want you to do is take that fear and that anger and exhale it and begin to say, okay, I have to look in the mirror and I have to ask myself, what am I going to do next? And constantly looping back to dad means he still has his hooks in you.
Right.
And so if I say, dude was sick, he wasn't well, he did some evil, awful things when he was sick. Now, as you begin to heal and you begin to stand up tall, God Almighty, yes, the rage will be right, the anger will be right, and you'll be with a professional to process that stuff. But I want, if as early as possible, to unhook him from this sense of destiny that you feel like you have, that you've been cast into, okay?
Okay.
Here's the second thing, and this is really scary. You and your siblings survive together, right? Your healing journey sounds like it's going to be on your own,
Mm,
apart from them.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying because you guys all banded together while y'all were floating out at sea when the ship that was supposed to carry you from childhood to adulthood sank right in front of you.
mm.
And
Interesting, like that he says that. Like it's like I mean, I could kind of relate to that because like dealing with my mom and what she was going through, and I feel like I cut my healing journey was pretty much alone. Like, yeah, my sisters have somewhat been there for me, but at the same time, though, I didn't grow up around my sisters. I was pretty much raised as an only child. Like, so sometimes I feel like my sisters, they don't really understand me. We're like on two different playing fields. So I kind of do feel like my healing journey of dealing with my mom's mental illness and dealing with my own mental illness, I feel like I have pretty much been alone. I mean, I know I'm not completely, I know I'm not alone because Christ is in me and I have the Holy Spirit. But humanistically speaking, for pretty much my whole life, I've pretty much been on my own. That's why, honestly, like being married to my wife has literally been the best thing that's ever happened to me besides my salvation. Because my wife understands me, she's sympathetic towards me, she's supportive towards me, and I couldn't have asked for a better wife.
Amen. So yeah, like I can relate to the loneliness and stuff like that because I feel like I was the black sheep of my
Yeah,
family on both sides, and so like I just never I didn't have a brother until I was about 14 or 15, and
yeah,
so I was already a teenager obviously, and then when he was a baby and stuff, so we're cool, I guess. I haven't talked to him in years, but maybe I'll change that later, I don't know. But
yeah,
and like when going through my depressions, going through my manic episodes and stuff, I never really had anybody to lean on ever. Like I was always a lone wolf. I've had
yeah,
friends and stuff, but even they kind of shunned me when things mattered and whatnot. So I
yeah,
always felt like I had to wing it on my own, and I think relying on too many people is a mistake. Like you gotta handle your business. So
yeah,
once you
exactly.
do handle your business, you'll be ready to take care of other people and stuff, and fulfill your role in helping other people
Yeah.
become saved and whatnot. So
By the way, real quick before I continue this video, I just remember something I wanted to say. Like about my single journey, like one of the things that's really helped me find the right person was I like at some time in my life when I finally accepted I had a mental illness. What I would do is anytime I started talking to a new woman, I would make sure I put my mental illness up front and center towards them. And if they turn me down, then that would tell me that they're not the right one for me. But if they didn't turn me down, then I'd be like, okay, this is something I want to pursue. And so, like, even like when I was on dating apps, like Coffee Meets Bagel or Meet Me or whatever other, Plenty of Fish and stuff like that. When I would go on those dating apps, I'd put right there in my bio that I have bipolar schizophrenic, and like, and I would gotta use that as a litmus test to help me determine if I want to pursue a relationship with someone. So that's a bit of advice I'd give to someone with mental illness. If you wanna, it's better for you to get that out there in the open, and don't wait to tell someone you have a mental illness. Because then if you wait and you tell them later and they break up with you, then you just wasted time. So it's better to get that right in the beginning of the when you first start talking. It's better to just get that out in the open, like just so your time's not wasted and their time isn't wasted. Anyways, so that's all I want to say. I wanted to just say that real quick. So
They they're on a different trajectory than you are right now. And your healing in many ways will feel like abandonment.
mm,
Or your great marriage will feel like a slap in their face, right?
Yeah, I get that part already.
Okay. And so, and by the way, I spoke wrong. Your healing will not be alone, but it may not be with them. And that means you have to go do something that is terrifying for your nervous system. And that is go find new people to trust.
Yeah.
And talk to me about how scary that feels.
It is scary. It's really scary, and it's hard because they're all my role models, and so it's like, to me,
I don't think they are, Jane. I don't think they are.
I just feel like they're the strongest people I've ever met. So if they can't get past this, then I don't have a lot of hope for me.
I would suggest that they're making choices on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah.
And that actually feels scarier. Because the next question is, you mean they're choosing this life?
Right.
And so the hard truth that I would give them if they called in is, I'll never, ever kick somebody out of the table, sitting at a table with me, when they're constantly going back to the well with things like addiction, things like anger, things like rage, things like feeling like intimacy is terrifying, because all those things are true. And I would not do this show, I wouldn't sit with hurting people if I did not believe in the power and the resilience of people and their communities to heal.
mm,
Yeah.
And so what I think a reframe is, y'all survived together, and in many ways, they kept you afloat when you were a little girl. You didn't drown because they kept reaching out and holding you, right? That doesn't mean they're going to be the architects that help you build your new home on shore.
I actually like that because like when I was younger, I did kind of like when I was in juvie, I did kind of lean on my sisters to be there for me. And even when I was kind of in my younger years, like my sisters were kind of like my anchor to keep myself sane, or not. I don't know how to put it. Like I kind of depend on my sisters to to kind of take care of me or whatever. And like when I finally got to a point where I had to learn to depend on myself, it was scary because my whole life I leaned on my sisters to support me. But I came to a point in my life where I had to realize I need to depend on myself and depend on God.
Yep. That's how it goes with most believers. You got to depend on God the most.
Exactly.
Right.
And there's a strange way this might flip over time. You, in fact, might become the beacon of light for them.
Wow.
And that's how people survive together. Sometimes somebody jumps on their grenade for everybody, and then the rest of the survivors pick up that person and carries them to the medic.
Yeah, I see that.
All right, that's 10 minutes for that. Do you have any thoughts about that video?
And that was pretty tragic what she went through. And, you know, I'm mentally ill, but I can never see myself doing what that guy did to his family. That's
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, it is awful. It really is. Like, but that's how serious mental illness can be. Like, it's no joke. It literally is a life and death situation. If you don't get this is a perfect example of someone who did not take care of his mental illness, and it ended up destroying him, and it ended up permanently hurting his family and his loved ones who cared for him.
Yeah. I pray that she gets through it and gets through her fears and stuff like that, because obviously she's distraught.
Exactly. All right, so one more video.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you see the video?
Yes.
It's titled, as you can see, it's titled, "My Marriage Has Been Affected by Mental Illness. Here's What I Do to Cope." Like,
Lisa Canning, and welcome back.
can you hear it?
Yeah.
Back to my channel. Today's video is all about how to support a spouse suffering with mental illness. Here in Canada, we have a big event coming up next Wednesday, January 31st, called Bell Let's Talk. And Bell Let's Talk is a campaign that raises awareness around mental health initiatives in Canada. So I thought, given the event is coming up next Wednesday, that I would share with you a bunch of frequently asked questions around how I support my spouse's depression and anxiety, and how I also support my own mental health healthiness as well. If you are new to the channel, a big warm welcome. Please feel free to hit the subscribe button, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. So the first question is, when did you discover your spouse had depression for the first time? In 2012.
That's a good question. So I want okay, so when did you discover that your wife had mental illness?
Well, I didn't know what was the issue, but I knew that everyone at the dance where I met her at was mentally ill in some shape or form.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, as for me, I think my wife found out I had mental illness. Well, like, she knew that I told her that I had mental illness, but like I think she really realized what that meant after we were married, though.
Right.
We had been married for a few years, and I was about to give birth to our third baby. That's 3 children in 3 years. We had a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. And all of a sudden, my husband started just really not being himself. In fact, like being a former shell of himself. He could not get out of bed. He was really unmotivated to do things that used to really interest him and excite him. I wasn't really bringing him much like happiness. The kids weren't bringing him much happiness. And he just had like a general, just like absence of his normal personality. You know, eventually he sought the counsel of his psychiatrist, and then that led to, more visits with the doctor, and then just a whole plan of treatment. The next question is your husband on medication, and how do you feel about it? So
yeah, okay, I can answer. I am on medication. And honestly, if you were to ask my wife how she feels about me being on medication, I think she would tell you that she prefers me on medication as opposed to not being on medication because she's never actually witnessed me off medication, but she's witnessed me when my medication stops working or it's not working as well. And she would even tell you that I'm a lot easier to deal with and I'm a lot better for the marriage being on medication. Like I remember she's even pointed out to me that she can tell like if I miss a dose of medication one day, that I completely go off my rocker.
Yeah, like I myself, I did the pill thing for a long time, and I had an issue where like I forgot if I took it, and I didn't want to not take it, but I didn't want to double my dose either, and it kind of
Yeah,
was a, so now I do the shot thing. So I just now I at first it was once every month, then I graduated to once every 3 months, and now I'm doing it twice a year.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And your wife does the same thing, right?
Well, my wife takes pills and shots.
Oh, okay, all right.
When he met with his psychiatrist, I'm fairly certain that he was put on medication right away. And he's on medication today for depression and anxiety. And I found in my husband specifically, it was a huge, huge, huge help, like massive help. One thing I really want to make sure people know is that depression and anxiety and all mental illness, it's not like a one size fits all type thing, meaning what works for one person may not necessarily work for another person. But what I would say does work is consulting actual medical professionals who are trained to handle things like clinical depression and anxiety. The next question is, what are some of the lifestyle changes you have made to help manage mental illness in a very practical way?
Okay. How would you answer that question?
In a practical way,
Yeah, what have
uh,
you done? What have you done in your life to help you cope with your mental health in a
my
practical way?
my faith. That's what
Yeah.
helps. Other than my meds, I would say my faith is
Mhm.
definitely key when it comes to managing my mental illness because you read throughout Scripture, God wants you to be sober minded and humble and appreciative and proper and all those good things and stuff. And it's not
Yeah.
just it just makes a way of life, to it makes it life better for everyone, including yourself and everyone around you. When you
Yeah,
try
I
to
would
be,
I would say, yeah, besides my medication, my faith in Christ is healthy. But I would also say like my wife is healthy, like cuz my wife will point out to me when I'm off. Running this ministry has been helpful for me, like because I feel like I have a purpose in life, and I feel like that's actually when you find a purpose in your life that you can focus on, that does a lot of wonders towards mental health. And then also, like at the Thomas Warner Center, I started leading some people in a Bible study like twice a week, and I found that really helps me stay focused too.
yeah, yeah, friendships with other people and your good buddies and stuff is also helps you manage. And you
Yeah,
know I'm gonna try. I'm helping other people that I know come find the Lord as well. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I really feel like, and besides like purpose, like having a purpose in life, that's a big thing that's really helped me is finding my purpose in life. But another thing, like doing things that I love to do, that helps me. Like reading my books helps me. Like watching certain movies that I like helps me. Talking on the phone with my friends helps me. Talking to my wife helps me. What else? I mean, yeah, I listen to some music sometimes that helps me. Going to like going to like community centers, like going to the Thomas Warner Center has really helped me. Going to church has really helped me. So
Yeah, community centers are very key.
Yeah.
So this is a huge one. There was a time when I felt like really we had no hope. There was a time when I felt like this is just like my lot in life. I'm going to be a single mom of all these little kids, and I will basically just get glimmers of my husband when I can. If you're a spouse who is supporting someone with mental illness, I really just want to say there is so much hope. I really believe in my heart of hearts that depression can be managed. I think it's similar in the sense of management like diabetes. So with diabetes, you just can't will your body to all of a sudden produce more insulin, or will your body, or like trick your mind to be like, today I'm going to handle sugar okay. It just doesn't work that way. Diabetes is ongoing management via diet and exercise and insulin. I would say depression is very similar in the sense that it's something you have to manage over a period of time. There's not like a quick fix. Certainly you can take medication. You can take certain medications will actually make you feel better almost instantly. But I would say that it's definitely more of a holistic, longer term lifestyle approach that is going to help a couple and a family thrive with mental illness. So a couple of the things that we did very strategically is, number one, we try to make our life at home as we try to limit the intensity in our home, so the stress level. Now you might be thinking, Lisa, you have 6
That's actually a good point. With people like us who have mental illness, like we need to keep our stress level really low, because if we get too stressed out, it could trigger our mental illness.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when I get stressed out, that's when the monster comes out. So
Yeah,
that's definitely true.
yeah.
children. How on earth is that possible? Okay, so obviously there's certain things that we cannot control. I can't really control how loud my kids are, or I can't really control the fighting and some of that kind of stuff that just naturally comes with having a whole bunch of small kids. But here are some things that I can control. I can control what size of house we live in. I can control our kids' schedule. I can control my schedule. So there was a time when I used to basically work around the clock and basically just expect everybody else to fall in line with my schedule. And I learned pretty quickly that while this may have advanced certain things in my life, like my business and how much money I made, it was not worth the expense of what it did to my family. And so I learned that where mental health is concerned, that it was so much better to have, for us and our family, a regular schedule, so where everybody knows what time I'm coming home, and real boundaries around how long I personally work as an entrepreneur, and when the time of work ends and when family begins. And that's been a huge help in terms of peace in the home and managing my husband's depression and anxiety. Another thing we do is that we're very careful with making plans, meaning we don't make plans too far in advance. We've learned that it is better for us to not make social engagement plans like too far in advance.
That's actually kind of interesting. Like, I never really thought about that. Like, you gotta be careful with making plans. But I could kind of understand that, because, like, I know for me personally, like, if I plan things out too far ahead, like, it can cause me to stress out about it. Like, there's certain things, like, I'm not gonna go into detail about these things, but there's certain times where, like, I I'll either make a plan really far out, or like me and my wife would make a plan really far out, and in my mind I'll start worrying about this or that detail, or whatever. And because I'm worried about that, these details also, it stresses me out, and then I end up like going out of control.
Yeah, like I have when you're dealing with schizoaffective disorder, one of the symptoms is disorganized thoughts, and I have also ADHD, so I have racing disorganized thoughts, and keeping a schedule is not easy for me whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just to simply give us the flexibility to have a quiet night in if we are really tired, or if Josh simply is not in a place to be very social with people. So that's been like really helpful to us in terms of keeping things just a bit more stable and more balanced. The final lifestyle choice, and this one's the hardest one for me. My temperament of the 4 temperaments, if you've learned anything about those, is a choleric. Cholerics love control. And I would say one of the biggest ways that we have improved our lifestyle and that has helped to manage depression and anxiety is me giving up a bit of control in literally every aspect of our lives. So what do I mean by this? Let me tell you more about it. To the depressed person, to the anxious person, a small decision like what time are we going to leave for lunch, or what time are we going to go to mass on Sunday, that can actually be an overwhelming thing to decide. To the non-depressed or non-anxious person, you might just be like, can you please make up your mind? Like, let's just decide. Come on, like let's go, like keep up, like we've got a show to run, we've got a boat to steer, and it can be very challenging for a person who really likes to be in control to not get answers when you want, or to not have things move at the speed in which you want. And I would say from firsthand experience, it just simply does not work, and it literally is just going to be a recipe for a bit of disaster. And so if you can give up a little bit of control, it doesn't mean that you're becoming some you don't
Do you think you have a problem with control?
I wouldn't say it's a major problem, but I
Yeah.
do like to keep things under control. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I am. I like to keep things in, but I wouldn't say I have a control issue. Like, I mean, I think honestly, I could use a little bit more control in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so
express your
too.
preferences.
You what?
I would say the same for me as well.
Yeah.
You don't state your intentions, but if you can give it up a little bit and just be okay with changes of course when needed. I have found that to be hugely helpful in our marriage and for just the general peace in our family. You might be thinking like, this doesn't make sense. Like, you have to make plans, especially where kids are involved. And I totally get it. It doesn't mean that you don't plan, but it's that you allow for a little bit of flexibility in the schedule, and cognitive flexibility, meaning that you are responding in your head with, okay, I thought maybe we were going to go to this mass, but
I understand where she's coming from, because like if you do have a problem with control issues, when things don't go your way, that can actually cause you to get stressed out because you want things to go a certain way, and it happens differently, and then you start stress. I kind of do have an issue with that actually, because I like things to go a certain way in my life, but like the saying goes, man makes plans and God laughs. So yeah, I make a plan, and then God has a completely different idea on how He wants my life to go. And yeah, it's almost like God pulls me in that direction, kicking and screaming, because I don't like.
Yeah. I kind of take issues when like people ask my opinion and they go, "What do you think?" And I tell them, "Okay, this is what I think," and then they go, "Well, I'm going to do this instead." That kind of
Yeah,
that's an irritating thing, for me.
exactly. Yeah.
no, it's okay. We're going to go to the later one. No big deal. And you just kind of like change it up accordingly. It requires some surrender. But I truthfully, I'm grateful for it because it's allowed me to grow as a person and not be so tightly wound in my own personal preferences. Next question is, what supportive comments can I say to my spouse?
Ooh,
Belle,
that's a good one. How would you answer that question, bro?
Rephrase it.
What supportive comments can you say to your spouse?
Oh, well, I tell my wife I love her like every chance I get, pretty much every day, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
You know, I tell her other affirmations and other supportive stuff, like good job when she
Yeah.
does like a favor of mine, or thank you and you're welcome, and polite things like that, and that I will always care for her and love her, and I have nicknames for
Yeah.
her and stuff like that. So just little things like that.
Same here. Like I tell my wife I love her at least once a day. I tell her I'm proud of her. I tell her I say how amazing and beautiful she is to me. Like I make sure I make sure I tell her these things at least a few times a day. So
Yeah, there you go.
In its initiative, Bell Let's Talk has come up with 5 simple ways that you can start the conversation and end the stigma around mental illness. And I'd encourage you to go check them out on their website. The one that resonates the most with me is the whole notion of be kind. Sometimes comments like, you'll get over it, or just relax, are just not helpful. So instead,
that's actually a good point. Like I hate when people tell me, "Oh, just get over it, breathe, or whatever, breathe, or calm down," or
It's
I hate
very condescending.
Yeah, it's very condescending. It's rude. It's
Yeah.
really kind expressions.
That's okay. That's not that. You have any thoughts about that, bro?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good advice on her part.
Yeah, I
You
thought
know,
so.
like I gotta realize that I need love and support just like anybody else, but part of that is your job. You have to love and support others as well to keep the
Exactly.
ship running. So
Exactly.
so we gotta just help each other.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. All right,
Yeah.
so you have any other thoughts you want to get out there?
And I gotta do laundry because I gotta go on a full week of work after tonight. So
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on here for another show. As I said before, this was our bi-weekly podcast. So our next show won't be next week, but it'll be the week after. If any of you viewers have any topics you would like us to talk about, contact either me or Joseph. So let us know your ideas. If you want, you can email me at christcentermentalhealth@gmail.net. No, at gmail.com, not .net. But yeah, and if you're a Christian who struggles with mental illness, or if you're a woman who's dealt with abortion, or if you're a mental health professional, whether you're Christian or secular, please contact me if you want to be interviewed. We can work out a day or time for us to uh, schedule an interview. And yeah, so thank you to the viewers who watch this. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And please comment below and let us know what you guys think about anything we said. And share this video with anyone that you feel needs to hear this message that we talked about. And if you have been blessed by the Christ Center Mental Health Ministry, please consider supporting the ministry on either Patreon, Venmo, or Cash App. For $5 more pledges for $5 more pledges on Patreon, or a one-time donation of $10 or more on Cash App or Venmo, I'll send you a few copies of my books as a token of my gratification. All right, again, Joseph, thank you for coming on here, and thank you to the viewers. Stay strong in the Lord and have a blessed night.
God bless.